guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. I hope you all have been having a really great start to your year. I mean, here we are still in the first couple of weeks. My New Year's resolution is going strong still, organizing and decluttering our house. It feels so good.
How many do you have left on your spreadsheet?
A lot. I have a lot still left to do, but it feels so manageable just doing one little bit at a time, except for usually I start one and then like yesterday I did 3. I did 2 drawers and a cupboard. But I've been ordering little things here and there too along the way. Like I just did underneath Aaron's sink in the bathroom, and I ordered a little like pull-out drawer kind of stacking organizer thing just to make like so that everything has a little space. So then nothing's toppling over, and it feels so good to do that.
We seem to also have like an overflow of things like soaps and toothpaste.
I think we did the Amazon subscribe thing for maybe a little bit like too frequently
long,
for a little while there before
Right.
we canceled it. Anyway, so we've got, a little stockpile, but it's nicely organized now. We also got brand new snow. Actually, right now it's kind of like sleeting. Right now, that's not actual snow. It feels like it's almost
or is
raining.
it just coming off the trees?
I'm not real sure. It was real pretty last night, but we're supposed to get into the high 40s by the weekend, which means it'll be pretty messy. Also, I'm not sure if before or after this video, we will have taken an extra day off, but we might take an extra day or 2 here or there. We'll post in YouTube community if we do, just because kids' birthdays are coming up. Samantha Grace, 1-year-old, you don't really need to do like a whole big lot of special things, events, but Benjamin's turning 4. So I think Aaron and I are going to take him out for the day and we'll hang out with cousins and stuff like that. So anyway, just FYI on that. On that note, let's jump into the videos from this last week. First one was making new window decorations for the garden center. So it was another kind of snowy-ish day out, and it was just a perfect day to go down and help. In fact, you guys, I'm thinking of spending a little bit more time down at the garden center this spring because it feeds me, I find. Like I go down there and I feel re-inspired and re-energized. I feel like it's a little piece of something that I've been missing over the past few years since I've not been, working down there. So I might go down here and there and maybe film my experiences.
It'll be fun.
I think it will be. I'm really looking forward to it if it actually does happen. I mean, there's a lot going on around here too. Like I have lofty plans right now when there's just not as much going on outside, but when everything starts to hit the fan, I don't know, we need to prioritize those kinds of things too, those things that actually feed us.
Right.
And yeah. We'll see. First comment was from Diane. I'm such a huge fan of Laura's mom. She is the epitome of how to act and to be. The woman is truly blessed with grace and love. Aw, I'm a huge fan of my mom too. Leslie said, where can I get a pair of the scissors you were using in this project? They look large and works well with the thickness of the bags. Yeah, so those are the Fiskars. Did I bring them home with me? I did. These are Fiskars tin snips, aluminum.
Are they?
Oh,
Are they
I don't
tin
know.
snips?
They're supposed to be for metal.
I thought tin snips were, yeah, they look like they could be.
Yeah, but I use them for cardboard and paper products. We use these a lot in the gingerbread house making, and then I used them for the bags. They didn't work well for my mom. I think it's just because she's left-handed, and so a lot of scissors just, unless they're made for a lefty, are easy to use. But my sister didn't like using these either, and she's right-handed, to cut cardboard shapes out for the gingerbread houses. I don't know, I love them, and I think they work really well. Anyway, they're Fiskars brand.
Does Felco have tin snips?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think their stuff is more like garden centric.
Sure.
I don't know if tin snips really falls under that umbrella or not.
No, I don't know.
Heather said, oh my gosh, where did you get your blue and white plates? They're just beautiful. Oh, I did show at the end of that video. I had made dinner. I had it in the crock pot before I left for the garden center. And then I just decided to show you guys kind of how it came together since I had mentioned it. I bought those plates at Marshall's the day before Samantha Grace was born. I was able to buy a set of 6 plates and 6 bowls, and they're really pretty. I really like them. I can't remember what brand they are on the bottom. Something England. Helpful, I know. Sue Forrest said, could you post the link for the mural? I will try to get that from my mom. Anything that has to do with tech or like finding information, no offense mom, but it's a little squirrely getting that information out of my mom because she's kind of like me I'm like her, I guess, in some ways, where it just stuff is in and out. Like we order something quick and then it's out, and then like we delete all the information that accidentally. We don't know how to find it again. Anyway, I will try to find the link. If I do, we'll put it in the description down below. Don't laugh at that. I will try. I will try to put it in.
You should just text her right now.
I should. I know many of you are probably like, sure, you're going to put it in the description of the video down below. Connie said, how can I get the ornaments you showed? Went to the website and couldn't find them. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they put all of their ornaments on the website. I think there were some, and I don't know if they've taken them down since then. I do know that they have some, but they've been working on packing up Christmas this week. If there was something that you really liked, you can always give them a call. They're more than happy to help you with that. Carol said, this is great. What did you use as a string? Fishing line. Yes, like a really lightweight fishing line. And where and how did you hook the string onto the snowflake? So it would have worked really well. You know those little circle stickers that you can put like reinforcement for 3-hole punch paper? It would have worked really great to have a couple of those, but we just found a thick spot on the edge of the bag where the glue was and popped a hole through that area, and it seems to hold really well. Of course, it depends on where you're hanging them, if they're gonna get blown around or anything, but the ones that we hung are gonna pretty much stay put, and I don't think anybody's gonna knock into them or brush past them, so they should be okay. They're pretty lightweight snowflakes. Carrie said, we saw you try the hot glue. Which did you prefer? Oh, hot glue all day, every day. My mom ended up using hot glue. I think it was just one of those things that she had made those snowflakes as a kid, and they used Elmer's glue, which what a great project for kids using Elmer glue, because they can't hurt themselves with it, but hot glue is so much faster. So anyway, yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna be using Elmer's glue. It just seems so messy, and it takes forever. It makes it a multi-day project as opposed to just being something quick. Alex said, did anyone else notice the sign above the kitchen sink? It gave me a giggle. The sign doesn't apply to Laura. That's so true. So it's something to the effect of, maybe we can put it up on the screen, something about how, like, do your dishes, your mother does not work here.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that sign has been up. Well,
my mom put that sign up, so that's another little glimpse into my mom right there. She was irritated one day. Like, I am sick of doing everyone's dishes.
Wasn't it like 2 years ago or something?
Probably. But everybody does. They just pile their dishes in, and there's just this huge sink full of dishes at the end of the day.
I keep telling your parents, paper products.
Well, you'll get a whole slew of people who will get irritated about that.
What?
I guess you could compost them, right?
Yeah, you can compost them, or you can waste water washing your dishes. So
it's very true.
Either way.
We were talking about home renovations last night. We actually met with a contractor yesterday, just very preliminary stages, just showing them around the house and kind of sharing some ideas. And I mean, this project, our home project, will probably be out a year or two, I'm guessing, because we have to get a designer, like an architect involved, and there's going to be a lot of different steps. And then we get so busy that it'll probably get, backburnered. Put on the back burner. But anyway, I was kind of excited about some thoughts that we had, and I came downstairs last night. I'm like, what about this? And then I had to tell you, I need to be able to share ideas with you where you don't automatically point out all the things that could be wrong with that idea. I mean, it's good, right? Like things.
Well, in that situation, I was pointing out where the chimney is and how if you want to keep a fireplace, the chimney's going to be in your way. I told him,
but Aaron, there are so many ideas that they're in and out, so fast that it probably won't even matter. So just don't even say anything. Just let me say the idea, be excited, and then I'll have moved on from it by tomorrow anyway.
I think what it is that when somebody, when I bring up a point that kind of squashes a little bit your idea, instead of you responding and being like, oh yeah, right, the chimney's in the way, instead you're like,
move it. Move the chimney.
You get mad. I'm like, well, it's a good idea, except for the chimney's in the way.
Dang that chimney. Anyway, it was a great idea. The next video was looking back at 2021. We just selected some high points of the year. I mean, a lot happened last year, a lot. And it was actually, those kind of videos are always a little bit painful for me to do in a weird way, because I feel like I'm leaving so much out. Yeah. And there's so much that fed me. We didn't even talk about all the produce that came out of the garden.
Right.
And all the flowers we were able to give away and all of the stuff. I mean, it was an amazing year, and we didn't even touch on that at all. I mean, it would take us forever to create a video where we touched on everything that was exciting and the things
that... It would take us a whole year.
Thank you for, yes, it would. Very good point, Aaron. Anyway, so we just selected some high points, Samantha being born first, and then the gazebo and Hartley things, the cut flower shed, the new grass lawn, all those kinds of things.
It seemed like we picked things that were just noticeable changes or permanent changes to our property.
Yeah. Yep. So Catherine said, oh, this is a long comment. My word.
Is it top comment?
Yes, top comment. Oh, Laura, that was a beautiful conversation of all that transpired this past year, and what a year it was. Yes, we squealed with delight right along with you when the Hartley arrived, as well with all of the other projects, and that's what makes you so special. Oh, we feel like we're right there with you. Laura, you're so gracious, talented, and inspiring. That gives me the feels to read that. Talented and inspiring that you feel like a really good friend when we check in with what you're doing for the day. Thank you for a glorious year, and maybe even more so in these couple of years while there's so much chaos and uncertainty going on around the world. It feels peaceful and loving while learning the many tips and tricks from you that we can then apply to our own gardens. Even the ambiance of your cadence and our mutual pleasure from gardening gets carried forward. So with you and Aaron, Benjamin, Samantha, and the extended family we have met provides even more beauty and love in your beautiful and lovely homestead. Our best wishes for another wonderful year in 2022. Well, that about sums it up for me. Okay, I'm done. That's really sweet, Catherine. Thank you. Beth said, thank you for putting this together. Did I miss the spruce tree coming down in this video? I cried when that happened. I talked about it. Did it get cut?
Yeah, I don't think it got cut. I think, did you talk about it?
I did.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Like you said, there were just so many things.
I think I've talked about it so many times, but
we're kind of over at this point.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a sad moment. It was kind of weird though. Like I feel like I just like sad for a couple hours, move on.
Yeah.
You know, like
well, you
there's
have
nothing
to. I think everybody has coping mechanisms. You know, things that like mean a lot to you. Mm-hmm. And in the grand scheme of things, you know, it's a tree, but still, it's like it was a big part of
the garden.
The garden.
I do know. The way I deal with things, I tend to internalize and like, I just have to. I don't know.
I feel like you just kind of move on.
I have to.
Like you just quickly move on, and that's your way of coping.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think everybody deals with things differently.
Yeah. Diane said, hi, I really love your videos. You mentioned you got yourself a Balsam Hill Christmas tree. Can you tell us which one? Yes. So Balsam Hill has the most beautiful Christmas trees that I have admired for the last lot of years, and I couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger because they are expensive trees, and I really was admiring the Biltmore spruce, and that's the one I bought. Now, I had a 9-foot Christmas tree in the great room because we do have 10-foot ceilings, but the Biltmore spruce only comes in an 8 and a 10. So I bought the 8, and turns out I actually like that size better in that space. It looks like, I feel like with the other one, it looked like I was trying to max out the space, like it was trying too hard to fill the space, instead of doing something, I don't know, like there's plenty of room for the angel and there's room above it. It doesn't look like I'm, I don't know. It looks proportioned properly, and there's like a kind of a downswept nature to this tree, and it's a little more bulky in the center. So the other tree that I had in there, the 9-foot, was a micro dot light tree from Home Depot, which I really like. I think it's Elegant Fir or something. It looks better inside than it does outside in the Hartley. It was way too dim, the interior lights are. But inside with just the lights on, it was so bright and beautiful. So I'll use it still. But it was very open in the center, so you could see light through it really, really easily. And I like the fact that the Biltmore is a little more bulky in the center, so it really hides the mechanics. But each one of the levels, it's not like, a tree cone shape, but on each level, there's short branches and long branches. So there's a lot of dimension, and really beautiful. I love it. And now I'm feeling a little spoiled by it. And I'm going to feel like probably I want to slowly add more of their trees. We'll see, through the years how the lights hold up and all of that. My mom has a couple Balsam Hill trees. The middle section of one of hers, the lights went out and they just sent her a whole new section. But I think they're only under warranty for a certain amount of time. And after that, I don't know how hard it is to match the lights. I mean, that's going to be the key right there. Mark said, I love these recaps, especially on your highlights channel, but could you let us know what future plans are, i.e. for the next week? You could be vaguish, so not to give pressure if plans change. You know what? I hardly have an idea. Right now, especially during the winter, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing from day to day. Like yesterday, I found a light bulb while I was cleaning out a cupboard and thought, oh, I could make this in a planter. And so that's what we did in the afternoon. This afternoon, I'm going to maybe film something.
Maybe not.
Who knows what it's going to be. So this year, it's a little bit looser just because there's not as much going on. In season, I might be able to give a little bit more of an idea, but it's just so, it depends on weather and lighting and all of that stuff too. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like sharing future.
Well, it's just impossible. Do you remember one of the first years we started working with Proven Winners, and they were like, "Can you give us a schedule of like what your videos are for the year?" And we were like, "We can't give you a schedule for the next week."
Right. They were really good about it.
They were awesome with just being like, "Okay, well, it is
Clearly,
what it is."
I mean, we still work with them, and we love to work with them. That's why the relationship has lasted so long, because they're so great, and they're very understanding, because it's a very...
We just do what we do, and it's like, if hopefully it works for what you are wanting, I guess.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Cheryl said, "What happened to the quail eggs?" I've addressed this in other videos. So, in short, I found quail eggs in our vegetable garden when I was pulling a cabbage out. Didn't know they were there. We unearthed them. It was 105 degrees that day, I think. Yeah. So I moved them, because I gave them to a friend who has an incubator. She incubated them and actually hatched a whole bunch of them. We were turned in for touching the quail eggs, even though they would have died.
Did you go to prison?
No. We had some state troopers show up to the garden center. My mom called and she's like, there's some state troopers here. What's going on? They said something about quail eggs. And I thought, oh, for crying out loud. So then I came to the house, I got the story, and that's as far as it went. Except for they went and got the little quail babies and released them too young, so they died anyway. It's a whole, I don't know who...
I wonder, the person who turned us in, I wonder how they feel about themselves knowing that
they're a warrior of nature and
died.
All things protecting nature. Although they were responsible 100% for killing those quail babies that would have lived. So I hope you feel good about that. Igor said, "Where's your marijuana tree?" Well, there's a reason why we got the greenhouse heated, right? No, I don't have any marijuana trees. There's a lot of them around us, though. A lot have sprung up over the last several years.
Legal in Oregon. We're kind of hoping, there's some land around us, and I think a lot of people are just kind of hoping that people don't start marijuana farms near them. Yeah, because they're just kind of stinky.
You know what, though? We already have skunk presence around us. That's what it smells like. But
you don't want to invite more of
the
stink.
No.
It's just like anything else. You wouldn't want, like the sugar beet factory. We've got a sugar beet factory about 45 minutes away.
Smells like burning peanut butter.
Yeah, but all those kinds of things. You just don't want things like that near you. We also have Orida, which is now Heinz.
Home of the tater tot.
Yeah, home of the tater tot. And that's a pretty stinky factory too.
We don't get any of that smell, which is crazy.
I think it's because the wind blows away.
It blows it
the opposite
east.
direction. Yeah. So we're on the correct side of it. Yeah, so.
Jim said, "Instead of renting a skid steer, why don't you buy an auger for the Deere tractor? We used one on our farm, planted 300 apple trees with it. Can we get one with our current model of tractor?"
No. Here's the problem is that lawn tractors, compact tractors like we have, don't have great hydraulics. And so they really can't you can't put very big augers on them. The biggest I think you can get is a 24-inch. I don't even think you can do a 24-inch. I think it's smaller than that.
Really?
And we usually rent a 36-inch width, not length. And so the augers that you get for tractors are more often longer than they are wide. And so they're post-hole augers.
Oh, sure.
For doing a fence or something.
That'd be handy. If you were building
so
fence.
it's frustrating to me because I would love to get an auger on the back of it. The other thing is that you have to get a downforce kit because a lot of times there's no force pushing down the auger. You're just letting gravity push it into the earth. I don't know, there's just a bunch of skid steers are just way better, and I would love to get a skid steer, but they're just so messy. And
we tried one. We had John Deere drop one off because you extensively researched because there are several things we needed a tractor for. But you kind of let you have to weigh your pros and cons and how often you'll use it for each individual task.
Everybody pretty much agreed, it seemed like, that as I was doing research, that if you have a construction site or, stuff is really ripped up, then a skid steer is awesome. Like planting trees when it's dirt. But if you need to run a skid steer over the grass, forget about it. But you can run your tractor over the grass.
Which ours has turf tires.
Yeah,
right?
we got turf tires with that. So it's a lot easier on the ground. It doesn't, it doesn't mess up our gravel.
We needed ours mainly for lifting pellets.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing.
Was the biggest thing.
And skid steers are better at lifting as well, but it just rips up the gravel. If we had concrete, it wouldn't, or if we had a paved driveway, it wouldn't be as big of a deal.
But we wouldn't have paved everywhere. You would need to take a skid steer. We can take that tractor all over the place.
Yeah.
which is so nice. I mean, you'll be able to take it into the cut flower garden to till,
Right.
even with the lawn,
Right.
you know, with the grass pathways.
Which is something you wouldn't be able to do with the skid
Right.
steer.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of pros and cons, and it's hard because equipment is expensive, and so you're like, well, should I just even pull the trigger at all if it only is going to, you know, do this one task? But we found out that like pellets were the biggest thing, pellets and unloading trees and things like that, because
And
now
you
we can
seem to
receive
move
trucks.
concrete all the time, like
What's
heavy.
that?
You seem to move concrete, like heavy things. So
Yeah.
it's, and it's been nice for like pulling out fences.
Some of the time.
Some of the time.
Yeah.
The
We'll
tractor's
use it
been
more
a
this
great
next year.
purchase. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. From the Garden said, so excited for 2022. This is more of a question for Erin, I think. When starting a gardening YouTube channel, how did you grow so fast? Did you collaborate with other YouTubers? How did you get sponsors? Just curious.
I feel like you could answer that.
Oh, I don't know. You were the main driving force.
Well, it wasn't quick. It might seem like it was quick.
It was
but
not.
Do you remember the first couple of years?
Yeah.
The first year was incredibly slow. And then even after that, it wasn't like we blew up.
I think the main things, and you have preached this from the very beginning, was consistency. Just putting content out there, even if you don't think it's perfect. And everything I put out, I don't think is perfect. But
we have less fights about it now, though. Do you
Yeah.
remember in the early days? Like,
Oh, yes.
we had fights where I was like, it's fine. The
Yeah.
video is fun. You're like, no, I can do it better. I'm like, of course you can do it better.
Do better next time. That's what he always
Yeah.
told me. Let's put it up, do better on the next project. And so I've kind of used that as a way to kind of motivate myself, I guess. Yeah, it's hard though. It's hard in the beginning because you feel like you're not getting any return. You're running in the red for sure. I mean, every project we were doing, we paid for, you know, we were both working
Right.
full time. Thankfully, like at the time, we both had full-time jobs. We had a small yard and we had no kids at the time. So, and we didn't do, like we did a little traveling
Yeah.
here and there, but we were able to pour into it a little bit
Starting
to
a
keep us
YouTube
going.
channel is really a gamble because there's no guarantee it's going to pay off. And you're going to have, for a couple of years, you're just going to run in the red.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be buying equipment, you know, cameras or tripods or whatever, you know, editing equipment, whatever you're doing, laptops for editing. You're going to be buying all this stuff and there's no guarantee that it's going to pan out.
Right.
And you just keep plugging away at it
Yeah.
and you just hope that it's, you know, it's going to work out. But
Yeah.
I don't know. There's really no, aside from just telling people just do it, you just have to start in.
And I think you need to be yourself. I think that's a big one. I've seen other people try to be other people and try to emulate too closely what somebody else is doing. And that is so transparent. I think you need to do your own thing and you need to like we took a lot of inspiration from other people, like some ways of different filming and stuff. And so we implemented those things, but we still stayed.
The nice thing is that early on, a lot of the inspiration that I took from other channels were tech channels.
Yeah.
And so there was no crossover.
Right.
Like zero.
All the gardening stuff was.
Well, there was no gardening stuff.
Right.
Nobody uploaded. I remember there was like Am I Gardener?
Yes,
and
still going strong.
His videos were all pretty much just like
Educational.
educational. You know, he would just sit in front of the camera
And helpful. I mean, still, if
Yeah.
there's something that I need to know, like technical, I feel like he's such a good resource because he shares like information that I trust. Cameras turned off. I'm not sure at what point. We were talking about YouTube channels, so
hopefully
we can who
finish
knows?
that question.
Yeah. Next comment was from Laura. So much accomplished this year. Will you be helping the city with landscaping around the gazebo? I'm actually not sure where you're at with that.
You know, I have watched a couple of the city council meetings, or not city council meetings. It's the public works meetings or whatever, and it sounds like it's pretty organized. Like, or they want it to be organized. Like, there's community
They need
meetings.
a plan.
They want a plan.
Yeah.
They want you to like submit a plan of this is what we're going to do, and then it like gets voted on and things like that. So that's not really how we.
No,
roll.
I mean, it makes sense for them.
Yeah, you can't
for
blame
sure.
them. I mean, especially because if they have to have a plan in place for caring for things long term, they want to know that they have the resources to be able to do that.
Right.
So I totally understand that. But it's just, again, it's not how we roll.
For us, we're like, hey, we have a bunch of leftover plants from this project at, you know, the college or whatever. Can we come plant them?
Well, like
it's not that easy.
The thing that was great about the college is that they kind of just gave us like free reign, just like do whatever you want, because they've been taking care of plants like
Rosa.
annuals in the past. They were like,
Rosa's
we've got
awesome.
people to help care for things, so you just plant it and we'll take care of it.
They did a great job. We're doing that again this year.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Next video was starting a few seeds using the winter sowing method plus a seed haul. So in that video, I had 6 water jugs hanging out. That's all I had at the time. I've since planted a couple more and I have a few more water jugs ready. to plant, but I just shared winter sowing, just talked about it and how it's gone for us. It's such an amazing way to start seeds. This early, all we're starting are cold tolerant things, so things that would already survive our winters, so perennials, maybe cold tolerant vegetables, cold tolerant annuals, but I seeded poppies and, what else did I seed? Some balsam root, some things. I don't even remember. I'd have to go look at the tags. Anyway, I started a few of those things, and then I did seed a tray of verbascum. It's all up. All those seeds are up right now, which is amazing. They're little tiny, but there's green in every cell. I did share a story on Instagram sharing an update on those. And then I had an envelope of seeds that came from Baker Creek that I had ordered. So I shared my little seed haul from them, and that was fun. So Trina said, hi, hey Laura and Erin, I'm a doctor from India who loves to garden in spare time. Before I found your channel, I was mainly interested in houseplants, but when I discovered your channel through your vegetable garden tour, my whole perspective changed. I now have a flourishing vegetable garden with many flowers in my terrace, and buying seeds for the next season has never been so fun. Thank you so much for all that you do. Oh, thank you, Trina, for that comment. And buying seeds is one of the most fun things ever. Oh. It's just every time I go to the garden center, like I have so many seeds that I'm wanting to start, but I always am drawn to those seed racks, and I just want to look at, even though I've looked at them like 20 times already, I want to still keep looking at them and see if I missed anything. It's just a fun thing to dream about, and it's fun to have some stuff going. In fact, I think this week I might start some other perennials, some more delphiniums, echinaceas, Oringium, some things like that that are perennial in our area. So if I start them on now here in the studio, I'll grow them on a little bit, I'll pot them up, and then they can grow on in the heated greenhouse. That's going to be the beauty of having the greenhouse be heated, is that I can grow some of those things that can grow cold instead of keeping them in here so warm, and then that will lighten up. So if I start those things now, they'll be big enough to pot up like middle of seed starting season, which is about the time when I'm going to be starting tomatoes and peppers and things like, well, probably more tomatoes, and then I'll have free tray and grow light space at the time. So if I stagger everything properly and get things moved out, it's going to be a trial year. It'll be a trial year for a lot of years. Anyway, Bobby Lynn said, quick question about this amazing milk jug gardening with the lid off. What happens during heavy rain or snow inside the milk jug? Won't it fill up with water and drown the seeds? No, because you've popped drain holes in the bottom. So the excess moisture should evacuate. You can save your lids if you're getting like an immense downpour or a crazy amount of moisture. You can just top them if they're plenty moist enough, but just remember to take that lid off, especially if you're later on in the season. It's not so crucial now because the seeds haven't germinated yet, but once those plants have germinated, you've got to let them have airflow. Lisa said, what kind of tape do you use? I just had white duct tape. It was just white colored duct tape. It works really well. It holds for pretty much the whole season until you're ready to take the plants out. Marcy said, do you see any reason why half-gallon jugs wouldn't work? That is usually all we have. Can I start white glitter Oringium this way? Yes, you can, and I think half-gallon jugs will work just fine. Just cluster them together. I think the main thing is to make sure the soil reservoir is deep enough and that the top is clear so that it allows light in. Janet said, how long can I keep seed packets? A really long time. Seed really does keep. There are some that don't keep as well, like onion seed, tomatoes, peppers tend to lose their germination rate a little bit faster than some others. But I remember down at the garden center, we ran germination tests every year on all of our bulk seeds because you can't sell seeds that are beneath a certain percentage of germination rate. And all of the bulk seeds are super high germination rate. But you should see that information even on your packet. Like you'll see what year they're packed for, what the germination rate. You might lose a percent or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. So if you've got some really old seed, which I've planted old pumpkin and squash seeds and like 10 years old that I kept for a long time, I just sow extra seeds just to make sure that, you know, in my hill of that I want like 3 plants to come up in, also 6 seeds or 7 seeds in there to make sure I get what I need. Jerusha said, any reason you couldn't use regular seed trays with humidity domes for winter sowing? Wouldn't need to mess with roots as much when replanting. Maybe tape the top on it to keep from blowing away. You know, the only problem with that is that you would have to wreck your humidity dome, because you have to poke holes in it. They have to be large enough holes to receive moisture. And that's kind of the whole goal of winter sowing. The goal is you're using inexpensive materials it's a really great way to recycle plastic containers. You don't have to have space inside, you don't have to have grow lights, and you don't have to water them all the time. So you have to allow wherever your seeds and soil are in that reservoir, you have to have a way for the water to get to them. So you'd have to make holes in that humidity dome, which would wreck them for future purposes unless you were going to use them for winter sowing every single year. You'd also have to take the seed cell packs, whatever you've got, out of the tray. They couldn't sit in the tray because that would hold on to too much moisture. So they need a way to drain the moisture out and a way to receive it, if that makes sense. Andrea said, can you please give the name of the seed company from the haul again? Baker Creek Seeds. I think their website though is rareseeds.com, which is super confusing. But if you Google Baker Creek Seeds, it'll take you there. Next video is summer flower combination ideas. So in that video, we just shared a bunch of your beautiful containers for inspiration, because that's what we're looking for this time of year when, you know, we don't have as much going on outside and we want to look at pretty color and start planning for the next season. So we had asked you guys to submit. We put a post on Facebook and on YouTube community, which is under our channel. Like, you just go to Garden Answer and there's like a community tab.
I don't know how that works, because for some people it shows up in their feed as you go to YouTube.
Yeah.
And then other times, I don't know if you can get notifications for community posts or...
I don't know. But you can access it if you actually physically like type in
You
Garden
go to our
Answer
channel
and then go to
then type in or then go to the community tab.
So that's where we asked for photos. We got hundreds and hundreds of submissions, which was amazing. So the video that we put together was definitely part 1. We'll be putting together a part 2, but it was just so neat. We asked for a few pieces of information in terms of growing zone, what the plant varieties were that you use, what pot size, what kind of care they were receiving, and it's just fun to learn from other people, and boy, I got some good ideas from that. The Mama Bear Life said, yes, it would be fun to have a regular series of other gardens being featured with different themes each time. I really enjoy seeing what other people are doing in their gardens. Same. I think that's such, like, almost the best way for me to learn is to learn from other people and what has worked really well for them. So like I said, we'll do a part 2 of this video, and then the next theme or subject is going to be narrow or skinny side yards, because I think that's a really huge area of the garden. It's not huge, it's a small area of the garden that's really tough to tackle. I had an issue at our last garden. We didn't even finish it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even finished when we moved out.
Right.
We had only started the pathway, the stone pathway. We had a few stones down, the rest was dirt. Yeah, it was just an interesting area. CCAP said, how did I miss this? Send in a pic of your flower containers. Amazing submissions, good for the inspiration this time of year. So yeah, like I said, Facebook is where we post that, or YouTube community. So if you're following on YouTube and haven't followed us on Facebook, if you follow us on Facebook, you would see that, or
could you
YouTube
do
community.
like a story or something on Instagram so that some people on Instagram could see it too?
Yeah.
I feel like we should do that in the future.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
You can have a link in your story, right?
I think so. Yeah, swipe up for a link. I'm not super versed, so yeah. I put up a story this morning of the snow. This is so pretty, but I don't use it like a lot of other people use it.
Yeah.
I probably should.
Maybe we should make a TikTok about it too.
No, I don't. I've never even been on TikTok, the platform. Is that like sad? Probably. I probably should know what's going on. Valerie said, did you have to be an American to enter your picture? No. It would have been interesting to see some entries from other countries as well. There was one from Canada in that group, I think, right? Or no?
Well, you know, we did ask for zone information, but I don't think that was I don't know if that was a required thing to fill in. And even so, you could just put in whatever your zone is internationally.
Yeah, there was no like, we're only going to feature from the 50 states.
Yeah.
No, we would feature from wherever. So that we might have some more in part 2. Okay, a lot of them seem to be from Minnesota though. So I see what you're saying. I mean, a lot of them seemed Minnesota. I
think there's a lot of flowers in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I think like Michigan, Minnesota.
If that's where we wanted to
Iowa.
really succeed with all of our plants, that's where we need to go.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Yeah. Next video is planting Lizzie Anthous seeds for the cut flower garden. I got 6 varieties of Lizzie Anthous planted, and then I ended up planting an extra tray of verbascum. I had another variety of that and some extra soil from the Lizzie Anthous project. But I just went over some of the information. I've grown Lizzie Anthous for a couple of years now and feel more confident in how to get it to perform. They're a little bit fussier, but if you know a few things, I think, and they're so worth it because they're vase life. It's over 2 weeks, and that's amazing. They look kind of like an antique rose. Roses do not have that kind of vase life, so if you can have something going that can last that long, that's amazing. Also, if you plan properly and you plan Lizzie Anthous from all the different harvest groups, so there's 4 harvest groups, which I went through. There's a spring, summer, fall, and winter harvest group. So there's different varieties that fall within those. So if you have your space planned out and you've got all the varieties hitting all the groups, which I think I planted ones from group 1, 2, and 3, you can have flowers pretty much all season long, which is pretty awesome. Christina said, I don't think you and Aaron fully grasp how much your audience depends on your daily show of stability, enthusiasm, and normalcy. It's so appreciated. Notice how I didn't even mention all the joy that Russell also gives us. Thanks for making the world a better place. That's so sweet, Christina. Thank you. Debbie said, I bought some Johnny's Lizzie Anthous when you ordered. Looking at my packages, where does it say type 1, 2, 3, and 4? I'm not sure that it actually says that on the package. Go to their website, though. In the description of the variety, it should say if they're a group, whatever group they're in. I think I found that information on their website for every single one of mine. Jeanette said, how do you get Lizzie Anthous to last so long in a vase? Mine always droop after 4 days. It depends on when you pick them too. You want to wait until just 1 or 2 flowers on the stalk is open. You don't want to wait until the rest of them are open as well. So it really, like, harvesting them at the peak moment is also very important. Lisa said, do you need to put the trays on heat mats as well as under lights? So I put mine under lights right away. I don't put mine on heat mats. That could possibly speed up germination time. I kind of forgot to address that in the video. I only have like 2, I'm looking around, I can see 1 over there. I might only have 2 heat mats to my name, and I hardly ever use them. I find that as long as they're in a temperature controlled room, it might be a little bit longer to, for them to germinate, but I don't know. I just don't find it as necessary. Question from Ilpa. If they are to bloom throughout 3 different seasons, why are you planting them all at the same time? Plant them all at the same time because they bloom at different times. So you can plant things from group 2 and 3 at the same time, and you'll start harvesting blooms from group 2's plants before you'll start harvesting blooms that'll be ready in group 3's plants. They'll be kind of staggered. Shirley said, what does it cost to heat a greenhouse? I don't know exactly yet.
I don't know if we will ever know because it's so hard. There needs to be like devices or something you can put on each
Isn't there
thing
one
that you have
wasn't
to know how
Luke
much
telling
it's
us
costing.
about one that you can put and it says how much energy things are drawing or if they're using energy?
Power or water. I think that was for power. It's like a little thing. And what it does is it's like you connect it to your phone and it says like, are you running, maybe it was water. It'll be like, are you running the shower right now? And it learns like how much water is going out at a given time. Or like it'll notice that water is going through it and it'll say, are you doing a load of laundry? Or like what's going on in the house right now? And if you tell it what's happening, then it'll start to learn how much water each thing uses. Yeah, maybe it was water. That'd be interesting to know for
I thought it was
power.
electric though because he was talking about a generator.
Oh yeah, maybe you can do the same thing with a generator because I'm sure with like wattage or voltage or how I don't know how that works.
We are ill-equipped to answer that question. We've only been heating our greenhouse we have it set below 50, at which we have it set at the lowest setting we can keep it, but it's comfortable in there. And actually this project was the very first one that we set up to film in there while it was heated, and it was all snowy outside and I had my coat off. I told Aaron, just like for a couple days we should kick the heat up and put a swimming pool in there for the kids. That'd be so fun, but that would probably cost a lot, so probably won't see us doing that. Tammy said, Laura, do you find that pelleted seeds sprout faster than others? I don't see really any major differences in pelleted seeds versus non-pelleted. They're just a heck of a lot easier to manage, to handle, to plant. Jody said, how long is the rosetting an issue for? Well, the rosetting will continue to happen. So I talked about what causes, like some of the issues that you can find with Lizzie Anthous. I've never dealt with them before, but I know that they can be problems. Like rosetting will happen if your plants are stressed. So if they're kept over 85 degrees, which might be one reason why I don't actually move them out to the greenhouse, because that greenhouse heats up fast. Even on spring days that aren't super warm outside, I mean, that greenhouse keeps heat in, and then the plastic, it soaks in all of those rays and heats up a lot faster. So if your plants are subjected to over 85 for a prolonged time, if they're root bound, if they're too wet or too dry, they can start producing big clusters of leaves around the base, so basal leaves, and they won't bloom. The only thing you can do to reverse that really is to put them in a spot for 30 days at 50 degrees. I don't know where I would even begin to think to put them in a place that was 50 degrees like consistently. So it can be reversed, but it's very hard. So I guess the important thing is just to make sure your plants don't get stressed so you don't deal with that. But I also talked about like fusarium and botrytis, 2 fungal issues to watch out for with Lizzie Anthous. I've dealt with that on other plants before. Most of the time you just want to pitch them. You'll see spotting on the leaves and or some wilt, things like that. So the last video from this week was having some fun with dried hydrangea blooms. In that video, I put together a few just inside decorative things utilizing some stuff from the garden. So Limelight hydrangea blooms, Let's Dance big band hydrangea blooms, which I wasn't expecting those. Well, I didn't know what to expect because I don't typically grow macrophylla hydrangeas. They don't do well in our soil. They don't do well with our erratic winters and all of that weirdness. So I planted some in containers last year. Oh, also chlorosis. That's a huge problem with hydrangeas in our area. So we thought, well, if we can control the pH of the soil, the iron, the ability or the type of iron that we're giving it so that they can constantly be taking up iron, we were hopeful that we could do really well with them, and they did really well in the containers year one. We'll see how they do this next year. I think we moved them into the greenhouse at just the right time. They bloomed beautiful bright pink, and then their blooms aged to like an teal and dark purple. Absolutely gorgeous, and they preserved beautifully on the plants. So I just thought, I've got to use these somehow. And so we came up with a kind of just craft supply store kind of project, like just a piece of wood, glue the moss on it, glue the hydrangeas on however you like, put a ribbon on it, hang it on the wall. Super easy. Mayra said, I cut a few hydrangeas and sprayed them down with Podge Spray over the summer. They didn't lose their color and stayed beautiful. Something you might want to try. I hope this helps. That does help. That's a really good tip. Podge Spray, Erin, help me remember that, like right when the blooms start to turn color toward the end of summer. It'd be beautiful to preserve some of them. Maybe a little bit easier than trying to dry them. Cut them and dry them yourself.
Sure.
Next comment was from Chris. Lately, I'm confused. Is this a gardening channel or an arts and craft channel? Erin grabbed that one.
I just thought that was kind of funny. Well, I mean, we don't clickbait titles, so like if you don't like what the content is, you don't have to watch it. There's not a whole lot we can do outside, so it's either like no video or something like this.
Also, I'm confused. The hydrangea blooms were from the garden. And I'm trying to think of the snowflakes were a crafty project, but I was at the garden center. That doesn't really fit well, but
it's who you are.
Yeah.
You do crafty things, and it's not like a crafty channel necessarily, but if you don't like it,
the title says what it is.
It seems like rude to be like, well, there's the door, but kind of in a way, it's like, well, you saw what the title of the video was, so you don't have to click on these things.
You heard it from Erin. Okay, next comment. Monique said, when your temperatures shift drastically in the winter, do you still have major windstorms? We did have a windstorm, was it a couple weeks ago? When it was...
Oh, yeah.
It was the day after, not a couple weeks, it was a few weeks ago. It was the day after I made the wreaths for the balcony doors, the great room doors, because I remember thinking, oh, I'm so glad those are protected.
Yeah.
It
doesn't feel like the
howled.
wind is as bad as it is in the summer, but we can get it. We can get wind.
I was thinking yesterday, actually, like we cannot possibly have as windy of a spring as we had this last year. It's got to be better this spring.
Well, a lot of people lost trees around here. Do you remember when we lost ours?
Yeah.
A lot of people were talking about, oh man, I lost, a 100-year-old tree or whatever.
And that's a bummer. I mean, trees is a bummer, but the wind in general, like the dust and just the general chaos that wind brings on a almost daily basis this last year, like it was difficult to film. Remember in the spring, I'm like, I can't, like audio is going to just be horrid. I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, Anne said, will the moss dry up? Well, it's already preserved sheet moss. It's dry already, so it'll stay in its pretty much its form that it was when I glued it on. Vicky said, could you glue it on a plate? Absolutely. Glue wherever you want. The sky's the limit. And the last comment was from Married to Remodeling. You are so creative, Laura. I would never have thought of doing this. Did you do a lot of projects at the garden center that stretched your creativity? Yes, I did. I remember it was a little bit difficult. I was nervous, I think, in the very beginning when I started to merchandise and display things, especially if it was out of my realm, like if it was out of my style wheelhouse. And I remember my mom was super encouraging through all of that because she had been merchandising for a long time. And I remember anything was a possibility. So I would dream up something and we would figure out a way to do it. I remember one project I wanted to hang bicycles from the ceiling, and we just kind of sized it up and thought, we'll do it. We'll figure out how to do this. And you just did. And one time I made a huge sand garden, like a huge zen. I wanted to make kind of a Japanese style garden. We had a bunch of beautiful bonsai and Japanese maples and things that I wanted to display around it. Not really realizing that I would just then make a huge litter box for all the feral cats in the neighborhood, which I can't remember. I used Repelzol for that. That was my first time that I used something that actually worked. I had tried a whole bunch of other like sprays, that green gel stuff, other deterrents, and then I started using Repelzol, not the dog and cat one. It's the one for like, let me look it up, hold on. It's got a bunch of other different types of animals on it. Yeah, there's deer, rabbit, squirrel, raccoon, skunks, birds listed on it, and it says it lasts for up to 2 months. I did find that I had to apply it about once a week for 3-4 weeks to create a really strong aversion, and then it started to last longer. And the cool part about it is Repelzol kind of looks like sand, so I was able just to spread it over the top of that whole sand garden. I know that's not what this question is about, but I thought it was pretty cool that it worked. I was able to spread it over the sand garden. You couldn't even tell it was there. It's made out of putrescent egg solids, cloves, and garlic oil. So it doesn't stink or anything like that. It actually has a semi-pleasant, because you can smell the clove. It's like a clove garlic smell. So it's not horrible. Anyway, yeah, so I did a lot of things there that just made me realize that I could just do it. We'd figure out a way and I could just get it done. And so I think it gave me the kind of that, more that can-do sort of attitude, like we'll just figure it out. It's a good challenge. And I think that's it for this week's recap video. I hope hearing the answers to these questions was helpful. And like I said, I'm not sure what the schedule's like up to the point that this video is up or after, but I think everything will really start to be more regular in February.
Yeah.
Like, I think we'll have a pretty solid schedule. It's just, you know, this year, I don't know. It was the first time that I told Aaron, like, maybe next year we should take off between Christmas and New Year's. I think I would, I don't know. I like to have a daily schedule and I like to do projects. It's fun. It feeds me. I also like to keep up with you guys too. So anyway, like I said, it might just be a day or two that we take off. Especially next week, we'll be taking one off for sure for Benjamin's birthday. So anyway, that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.